Hello, this is MATHguide.com. My name is Mark Karadimos, and I'm glad you could join me today so that I could talk about complex numbers and how to multiply them. One crucial element of complex numbers is understanding what they are, and one key thing is what I is, because you're going to see this letter I, and I stands for the square root of -1. You just have to know this about complex numbers. Why? Got to take a course on it to understand, or I'll talk to you later about it, or look at our lessons on MATHguide.com to understand. But just as the short course on it is that, well, if I square both sides to get rid of the square root sign, I'm going to square that side, and I'm going to square the other side. But when I square the square root, I get -1. Now keep this in mind. This is a key element. It's kind of important, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to circle this part because I'm sure we're going to encounter it in a moment. Alright, now in order for us to do problems, we're going to make use of it, but I guess what I should do is present a problem, and we'll see why it comes up in a moment. Alright, let's say we take 5 minus 2i, and we are asked to multiply it by 3 plus 4i. Alright, let's say we have to multiply these two. Now, just like we did for polynomials, what we are going to do is use a multiplication table, and that's what I have right here. So I'm going to place a table just like so. And what I'm going to do then on this table is I'm going to place one polynomial at the top. Let's say we put the, oops, let's get that in there. So let's put the 5 minus 2i at the top. And then let's put the 3 plus 4i along the sides. Okay, so basically this table turns out to be a multiplication table. Alright, now in order for us to fill the table, just like we would for any multiplication table, we're going to multiply rows times columns. We did this for polynomials, so this is nothing new. So 5 times 3 we know is 15. Okay, then again we're going to multiply this column by this row. So we're going to multiply those two guys together to get -6i. Okay, and now let's go on to the next column, or at least the first column in the second row. Multiply those two together, and we're going to get 20i. Alright, and last we're going to multiply this column by this row, multiplying those two together, and we're going to get -8. And then I times I is I squared. We know that from algebra. Alright, so just keep in mind that there is, or there are, like terms. In other words, we hear these two have the same letter and the same power. So we're going to combine those two together. So we know that -6i and 20i is going to be a 14. Alright, so keep that in mind. So we're going to have the 15. Now we have a 14i when we combine those like terms. And of course we got this -8i squared. But I told you now that we were going to make use of this I squared equals -1. If you recall, we were over on the left-hand side. I talked about that property right there. So that means I'm going to replace this I squared. I'm going to really replace that in there. This whole thing is really equal to -1. So I'm going to be doing a substitution. So it turns out that, let's keep this in white, I'm going to have the 15. I still have the 14i. But really, remember that I squared is -1. Alright, so you can see that I'm going to have a -8 times a -1, and that's going to give us a +8. I'm going to move this up here. So I'm going to get 15 plus 14i plus 8. Alright, and if you look carefully, we do have some like terms here. So these two are like terms. I'm going to combine those two together. So I've got 15 plus 8 is 23. And I still have the 14 i's. And it's no surprise that when we did combine like terms and finish this problem, we do get our answer in a plus bi form. So we do have a real part, our a, and we have our imaginary part, b, bi actually. So that's our imaginary part. And we're done. That's our problem. And we're done with our answer. And that's all there is to it. So just make sure you make a table, clean everything up, and then just be very careful how you deal with that I squared. It is equal to -1. All right, make sure you go back to MATHguide.com, check out all our lessons, check out our interactive quizzes, our activities, and of course other videos. Take care.